What's up guys, John here and welcome to Baltimore Retro Gaming, and today I have some very exciting news. Now, me being the big PlayStation fan that I am, PlayStation's releasing the PlayStation Classic, and it's crazy how I found out about this. So I'm like sitting on the toilet, doing my thing like I do every morning, and I'm kind of like an old man with my newspaper. I pull my phone out and start reading my news stories, and I was actually in a Facebook group. And in this Facebook group, one of the posts was about a PlayStation Classic Edition. And just like anything else I see on Facebook, I'm like, yeah, right. Anyway, I click on the link and it's to an actual news site. It's actually to a place called The Verge. And, I read it and I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I looked on a couple other online forums, and some credible news sources were actually talking about this. And then I saw the video trailer that PlayStation released, and I'm like, oh my God, this is really a thing. Like, this is crazy. And, this is something that a lot of companies have been doing over the past few years, not just Nintendo. I mean, yeah, you got the NES Classic, you got the SNES Classic, but then, look at the Neo Geo X. That was really the first console to set off that trend, in my opinion. Even though that system didn't take off, and even though Nintendo didn't copy that system, more companies are starting to put these, smaller, condensed units with all these games into households, and I think that that's awesome. Especially me liking weird and obscure stuff. The fact that more of that stuff's coming out now is absolutely great. So, I don't know when this announcement came out. I guess, today's the 19th, September 19th of 2018. I guess the announcement came out last night, because yesterday I didn't hear anything about this. But, anyway, so about this PlayStation 1, apparently this thing, according to their video, is supposed to be about 45% smaller. That's a good thing. That's going the way of the NES Classic, the Raspberry Pi, pretty much any plug-and-play system, and that's what this is pretty much a plug-and-play system. But, one thing that would be cool, and I understand why they didn't do this, but, having a disk drive, like a physical disk drive on the system, that would be amazing in my opinion. Like, I know that's a lot to ask for, and I know they probably wouldn't go that route, but if there was a physical disk drive on there that would output PS1 games in 720 or 1080 through HDMI, like, that would be amazing. Or at least have some extra storage, like kind of like the NES Classic, and give us the ability to add ROMs to the platform. That would be awesome. This thing's HDMI out, so, I didn't see any, from what I saw, there was no component composite. It's straight HDMI out, and that's great because that's going to suit the needs of most people in this day and age. Unless you're living like the angry video game nerd in the basement with an old CRT, I think you have HDMI out, so you should be good to go there. And the controllers, these replica controllers that it comes with, now from the footage that I saw, they look like they're hardwired. I don't know if this thing has any type of Bluetooth capabilities or any way to use wireless controllers, unless you can find some PS1 wireless controllers if that controller port is true to size. These aren't DualShock controllers this thing comes with. These are old school PS1 controllers, and that's fine by me because as old as I am, I remember using those controllers, and that's completely cool with me. If I'm playing old PlayStation games, I don't need a DualShock. I'm not playing some like crazy first-person shooter, so we should be good to go there. Now, there's power buttons and reset buttons on this thing, and apparently the power button. Let's talk about the reset button first. So apparently the reset button on the machine suspends the game, and I guess that's kind of like used as like a semi-save state. Kind of like on the PS4, how you put your PS4 into sleep mode and suspend your game. I'm assuming that's what that does, or kind of like on your PSP when you flick that button on the side and you suspend the game, and you can flick it again. It's like in like a lower power consumption mode. So yeah, that's great. If I'm playing an RPG and I'm sitting at home and I want to go to work, I can just tap the button, run out the door, and then come home, tap it again, and pick up where I left off. So that's pretty cool that they did that. So now this power button, apparently that's how you would change your game. It says that's how you change the virtual disc. I'm assuming when you power this thing on, it would have some sort of interface where you can just pick the game with the controller. And I'm assuming you still can, or apparently you can just hit this power button and you can change the disc that way. That might be a way of cycling through the games on the console. I have no idea. I haven't seen the interface for this thing, so I would just pretty much be speculating at that point. And let's talk about the games that were announced for this thing. Now, according to the video, there's only a few. You know, the games that, you know, the ones that I have physically that I actually saw, like, sitting out, I figure I'd bring them as visual aids, but, you know, I saw Wild Arms announced, which is a great RPG, and then another great RPG is Final Fantasy VII. Now, Final Fantasy VII looks pretty dated by today's standards, so if they could figure out a way to kind of bump up the graphics in Final Fantasy VII and run it through that HDMI out, you know, that would be incredible. I think that would be a huge selling point, in my opinion, if they're able to do that. And, you know, when I read this and I read about Final Fantasy VII, you know, and this is not going to happen, so don't get me wrong, this is just a fantasy, but you know how they've been talking about the Final Fantasy VII remake for like the last 3 years? Like, what if Sony did this and then like put that remake on this little mini console and then, you know, didn't tell anyone about it, and then when they get it home and turn it on, they're like blown away? Like, could you imagine if something like that happened, like the amount of these things that would sell? Like, I know that's probably not ever going to happen, but like, you know, what if? Like, that would be crazy. That would be a crazy, like the craziest marketing gimmick I'd seen in a long time if they were able to do that. But that's never going to happen. You know, that's not, I didn't hear anything or anything like that. That was just my sick mind, you know, running some sick thoughts through my head. But anyway, you know, a couple of the other games that were announced are Tekken 3. Let's see, you have Jumping Flash and Ridge Racer 4. Those are the only ones that I saw. Now, I went to another website, you know, because I looked at a few websites when I heard about this. I went to a website called express.co.uk, and a couple of games that they speculated on, and these are just speculation, you know, speculation. It's a paragraph I read on an online article, but according to their website, they speculated games like Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Suikoden. I don't know whether it was Suikoden. I'm assuming Suikoden 2 because this is on the PlayStation Network, at least for the PS3 and the Vita. For download, you can actually buy this game on the PlayStation Network, but maybe they meant Suikoden 1, I have no idea. And then another one that they speculated on, or maybe it was another website, but that was Final Fantasy 9. I know this game is very coveted by a lot of people, and you know, there was a couple of other games that, like Tomb Raider, Abe's Odyssey, Tenchu Stealth Assassins, Crash Bandicoot. You know, they speculated on a couple other games too. Those were just games that I grabbed pretty much as a visual aid before I did this video on my way to work. I was actually, guys, I was planning on doing a video for the Neo Geo CD about Sonic Wings 2, so I'm still going to do this today. Look forward to it. I should have it out in a couple hours. But yeah, the PlayStation Classic, I mean, you know, a lot of companies have been doing this lately. It's not just Nintendo. Like I said, the Neo Geo X, you know, of course the NES Classic and the SNES Classic. I mean, look at AtGames. Look at all the plug and plays they're putting out. Like, they're doing stuff with Atari. I mean, of course, Atari. And then Sega, you know, a lot of people are kind of displeased with their Sega Genesis. But one thing that the AtGames thing did do, and I could be wrong about this, but I remember, I don't own this thing, but I think the Genesis AtGames, like plug and play, I think you can put cartridges into the unit, if I'm not mistaken. Now, I know that apparently the emulation on that thing is garbage, but, you know, anyway, you know, AtGames has been doing it. And I mean, look at all the plug and plays, like when you walk into a pharmacy, like in the toys aisle, or, you know, Walmart or Target. You know, these things are, you know, they're quick, easy money grabs for people. And, you know, somebody like me, of course, I'm like a video game, like player, collector, or whatever. You know, you put something like that out, of course I'm going to grab it. Like, I mean, honestly, I probably own every single one of the games they're going to announce, but I'm probably still going to buy this thing, honestly. I mean, I don't have an NES Classic or an SNES Classic, but, man, I'm a PlayStation, like, fanatic. And, you know, to see something like this thing's really special to me. So I'm definitely going to cop it, and I hope you guys do too. Well, anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Now, remember to like this video. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, guys, peace out.